we skipped talking about this. Eventually we will need to sparge our grain. So once the mash is done, this is about 2.5 gallons of water. We'll pour this through the grain to wash out all of the good juicy sugars. So we got this warming up to about 170 Fahrenheit. That'll be a nice slow warm. The little coil underneath this giant pot takes a lot longer to heat things up to temperature than this puppy does. So the tricky part, and this is what the manufacturer really doesn't want you to do, is that we're going to need to get this nearer the sparge water. Which we're going to do very carefully. Like so. Now, my sparge water here, I don't know if you can get a shot of this, but it's a nice toasty 170 something degrees Fahrenheit.
There we are.
So, grain's gonna come up, water's gonna drain through, and we're gonna aim to try and get 5.5 to 6 gallons of water into the tank, because this thing boils off about half a gallon in the process. Now, because my grain bed is so light, the water is going through real fast, which is unfortunate. The slower the sparge, the more effective it tends to be. But sometimes you just deal with what you're handed. It's important to spread the water around on top so that you don't form a channel. Because if you pour the water all in the same spot at the same time, you'll make a hole in the grain, and then all the water will run through that hole and not actually wash the sugars out. I also want to keep the water level above the grain, which, as you can see, I'm struggling to do because the water is running through the grain so quickly. Essentially to prevent the same thing from happening, which is to make a cleft in the grain and have all of the water run through one part of the grain bed and not get all of the grain. Now I'm eyeballing, this is probably really hard to see with the video, to make sure that I am actually getting enough water through. A lot of this is looking into cracks and trying to figure out whether your water and your grain are doing what you want it to do. And hoping that all your calculations were good. And if your calculations are bad, bad calculations will lead to beer that isn't quite how you wanted it to be. It's very hard to not make actual beer, but your beer might not be what you wanted it to be.
Okay. Ooh.
So I can just about see that I'm at nearing 5.5 gallons of water collected. 6 would be great because then I'll end up with 5.5 when we're done. If it's a little bit less than that, that's fine. But we'll just let the grain bed drain as much as we can. It looks like you can just barely see the scale, which was the goal here.
Now you can see we've gotten the grain off of the top of our boiler. So now we're going to boil. We have, well, 5.5 gallons, so we'll end up with 5 gallons. That's fine. We're going to crank up the temperature. Now, it turns out that this unit has a switch that tolerates about 6 degrees either direction. So pretty much have to get the temperature to be 218 or 220, or it won't keep things boiling. And there we go. Now that's the next exciting part of this journey, getting 5.5 gallons of water to boil.